start off with a couple of little notes from previous episodes. First thing is we are going to be uninstalling Monster Mod. I discovered that there are some issues with this, so we're just going to get rid of it, and I'm going to try to come up with an alternative for that in the future. But for now, just uninstall these, and then we're going to go ahead and do the World of Pain merged again. So I already unticked these. I'm actually going to go ahead and just uninstall them. It's the Monster Mod Wasteland edition, and then we also had a merge patch, so remove those. And then for the World of Pain merged, we're going to have to reinstall this because it relied on the Monster Mod as a master. So go ahead and just remove that, untick it and remove it. And then on all of the World of Pain files for New Vegas, go ahead and move the optional ESPs, except for the Mo mod, we don't need that, back into the available ESPs and voices. So go ahead and make sure those are all enabled. Let's just double check how many we have. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ESPs in this, and then the revisions we have 2, so that's 8, and then voices is 9. So we should have 9. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can go ahead and run merge plugin standalone. And uncheck all. Then we can enable those 9. And then just grab the masters for that. And OK. Now we're going to go over to our merges tab, and we're going to find the World of Pain New Vegas merge, and we're going to go ahead and delete this merge. Alrighty, so once you delete that, we're going to go over to the settings tab and go to integrations, and we're going to untick copy general assets. If you followed one of the last episodes, we re-enabled that. We're going to unenable that now. Okay, so now we're going to go back over to our plugins tab, click the first one, and then shift click the last one and add to merge, and we're going to make a new merge, and we're just going to name it the same thing, A World of Pain New Vegas merged. And then we can also name the ESP that as well. And OK. Now go over to the merges tab and build merge. Once that's done, you can close here and close out of that. Now we can refresh, and here's our new patch. We can move this up underneath A World of Pain. And if I remember correctly, we can get rid of the revisions. Yep. So untick revisions, and then for the World of Pain voices, move the ESP into the optional ESP, and then for A World of Pain, move all of the ESPs up into the optional ESP section. And we can go ahead and just delete the, I mean, you don't really have to if you don't want to, but you can delete the Mo mod ESP if you go over to your file tree and optionals. We don't need that anymore since we're not going to be using Monster Mod. And then enable our new merge patch, and we're good to go there. So another quick note, one of the commenters in one of my videos pointed out that if you read the post sections of the NCR Trooper Overhaul distributed, he actually says that you can remove the beta, the ESP from the NCR Trooper Overhaul beta, so we're going to do that. So between these two mods, you should only have one ESP, and it's the Trooper Overhaul Drag Body ESP. Alright, and we have one more little thing we have to do to set up for this episode. The Tale of Two Wastelands optional files that we merged together, we're actually going to have to undo that for now because we need to remove one of those files for the mods that we're going to be one of the mods we're going to be installing today. So go ahead and just uncheck the optionals merged and remove it, and go back to your optional files and move all of these ESPs back down, into the available ESPs other than the the stash pack options ESP. We don't need that anymore, so we're going to move that up into the optionals ESP right away. If we scroll down, they're all at the bottom. Just make sure they're enabled, and we're going to run merge plugins now and hit OK. I'm sorry, under the optional ESPs. Yep, that's right. So hit OK and run merge plugins. And OK, so uncheck all and then enable all of those, the Tale of Two Wastelands, Anchorage customization. So everything should be enabled here except the Reputations ESP, the Options ESP, and the Stash Pack Options ESP. So now we're going to grab the masters for those. Now go over to the merges file. I've already done this because I was testing it out, but go ahead and delete, if you haven't already, the original merge file we made for the Tale of Two Wastelands, the optionals. Then go back over to this tab and wait for the background loader to finish. Alrighty, so once the background loader is finished up, I just wanted to mention this. For the copy general assets, we can go ahead and leave that enabled for now. These are all just ESP files, and we're going to be using that later, so go ahead and leave that enabled. Click the first ESP and then shift click the last one. Add to merge, and we're going to put new merge, and then we're just going to name it Tale of Two Wastelands Optionals Merged. And we can name the ESP the same thing, and OK. Then we go to our merges tab and build merge. Once that's done, we can close here and close out of this. Now we can refresh, scroll down, and bring this back up to where we had it before, and enable that. Now we can go over to the original one and move all of the ESPs back up to the optional files except for the options and reputations. Those still need to be in the available ESPs. So now that that's done, we're all set up. One quick thing I'm going to do for a reminder later is move gas pumps of New Vegas. I'm going to go ahead and move that down at the very bottom because we're going to be merging that with some of the mods we're installing today. So that's all cut up on everything from the previous episodes that we needed to fix. So I will go ahead and go get set up for the rest of the episode, and I will meet you guys there. Off with the gameplay mods for this video. You'll notice with most of these mods that the title of the mod is pretty self-explanatory to what the mod actually does. So the first one we're looking at, Gunrunners Actually Run Guns. Basically, the gunrunners actually take caravans through the wasteland to sell guns. So we're going to download that file with Manager. And then the next one we're going to be looking at is Ammo Ingredients is Loot. Basically does what it says, like I said before. There's two files here. I'm going to be using the improved one, so download that with Manager. Then we have Armor Repair Kits. There's already weapon repair kits in the default game, but not armor ones, so this just does that. So download that with Manager. Next we have Burning Campfire. This isn't on the Nexus, or at least the version we want is on the Nexus, so we're going to download this through this site. I'll just leave the link in the description. Next we have Delay DLC. There's three versions here. We're using Tale of Two Wastelands, so obviously we're going to use the one that says this is for people who use Tale of Two Wastelands, so download that with Manager. The next one we're going to be looking at is Extended Dialogue for Vulpes. Does exactly what it says. Download that file manually. Next we have, I put this here to remind me to merge it, so I'm going to skip gas pumps. Improved Casinos. Download the main file with Manager. Populated Casinos. There's three versions here, light, medium, and then the normal one. I'm going to be using the medium one. You can pick whichever one you want. Download whichever one you want with Manager. Portable Campsite. Adds a campfire and a bedroll you can take with you, so download that with Manager. Tutorial Killer. We're using Tale of Two Wastelands, so install the Tale of Two Wastelands version. And then we're going to go ahead and do Courier Stash next. If you remember at the beginning of the video, we redid the optionals, the Tale of Two Wastelands optionals ESP merge. That was for the sake of this mod, because this requires that you don't use the Tale of Two Wastelands Tale 2 Wastelands Stash Pack Options ESP. So we've already taken care of that. So download this zip file manually. And now what we're going to do is go ahead and install all of these mods, and then we'll come back and do the more perks. So go over to your mod organizer and we did gun runners actually run guns first. So manual, we don't need the readme. Okay. And now we're going to move that up above gas pumps and enable it. I'm going to unenable gas pumps for now. And then we had improved ammo ingredients as loot, manual. We do not need the readme, just the ESP. Armor repair kits. We do not need the text. Delay DLC, manual. We don't need the faux mod or the readme. Improved casinos. This has 3 ESPs. We don't need the text. I'm going to be using the 2x version. I suggest you do the same. You don't need the other ESPs. And then the populate casinos, I use the medium, but it'll come up with whichever one you use. We don't need the readme, and set data directory correctly. Remove from view. And then we have portable campsite. We don't need the readme. And then lastly, tutorial killer. It's automatically going to bring up this faux mod and detect that we have Project Nevada, so just hit install here. Alrighty, so now we also had the mods that we downloaded manually. So it should be Burning Campfire, Extended Dialogue, and the Stash Pack Distributed. So go ahead and bring those out on your desktop. Go back over to Mod Organizer, find Burning Campfire, manual, just an ESP again. And then we had the Extended Dialogue, manual, okay. And then lastly we had the Stash Pack Distributed, manual. I'm not going to rename this because we're merging them together anyways, so go ahead and just hit okay. Now I'm going to move gas pumps down just so that it's easier to see over here, and we can enable all of those. There we go, just make sure gas pumps is a part of that as well, and merge or run merge plugins. Now if we scroll, we can hit uncheck all, and we can scroll down and check all of those, starting at improved ammo ingredients loot, and then we need the masters, and okay. Alright, so once the background loader is finished up, you can click the first one and shift click the last one, add to merge, new merge, and I'm going to name it gameplay mods merged for both that and the ESP, and hit OK. And just so you guys know, these little checks here, these are just because I've already ran this when I was testing stuff out, so you won't have those little checks until after you come over to merges and you hit plugins and then check plugin for errors. It is going to come up with one error for delay DLC Tale 2 Wastelands. When it does that, just hit fix error in plugins, and then it'll be green, and then you can hit build merge. So once that's done, close, and we can close out of that as well. Then we just have to wait for this bad file to quit running. Alrighty, so once that's done, we can go up here, hit refresh, and now we can uncheck all of those mods that we just merged together. And for the sake of space, I'm going to remove all those. You can do whatever you want with that though. And then just enable the gameplay mods merged. And there you go, all of those mods down into one ESP. Now if you remember, we had a couple left to do. More perks for Tale 2 Wastelands. If you go over to the page on Tale 2 Wastelands website, he has some installation instructions here. The first thing we need to do is reorder our ESMs, which I've already done, I think. So basically it needs to be all of the Fallout New Vegas ones, which are here, and then the stash packs, which Classic Mercenary Tribal Caravan, you need to move those down below Zeta ESM, so it should be between Zeta and Tale 2 Wastelands, and we're going to actually go ahead and lock these in place so that they don't move every time we run loot. So go ahead and right click those and hit lock load order, so those should be locked at that priority. Now we're going to go back over and go down to the downloads, and we need to download every single file he has here. Alright, so once they're done downloading, we can bring them out onto our desktop. And we're going to create a new folder. We're going to name it just whatever he has it named over here. More perks for Tale of Two Wastelands. Then we're going to open up the main folder. And we're going to drag and drop everything inside into the folder we just created. Next we had the Eve compatibility patch, so drag that ESP over. Then we had the regular patch, and then we had the patch for the new version of Tale of Two Wastelands, or the most current version of Tale of Two Wastelands, I should say. Okay, then we can get rid of all of these archives, and we can add the folder we just created into an archive of its own. So once that's finished up, we can get rid of the folder, go back over to Mod Organizer, and find more perks. And manual, set data directory to where it says looks good, and OK. Now I'm going to move this in between Gun Runners Actually Run Guns and Gameplay Mods Merge, just because that's the order that the guide I'm following recommended. Shouldn't make too much of a difference. So anyways, go ahead and enable that, and you should see the 3 patch files down here. What we're going to do is run merge plugins again. We're going to uncheck all, and then we're going to grab those 3 patches for more perks, and then get the masters, and OK. So once the background loader is finished, we're going to go back over to our settings tab and go over to integrations and untick copy general assets. Now we're going to click the first patch for more perks, and then we're going to shift click the last one. Then we're going to right click, add to merge, new merge, and we're just going to name it I'm just going to name it the same as the last one actually, more perks patch, and then copy and paste that for the ESP, and OK. Now we're going to go over to our merge plugins, check plugins for errors. Alright, so whenever it shows an error like that, just go over and hit, like I did, just go over and hit fix or resolve plugins errors. So plugins, fix plugin errors and plugins, and then it'll be green. So now we can go ahead and build merge, close, and close. Now we can refresh and move that under more perks. Now we go to more perks and move those ESPs up into the optional ESP section and enable our new merged ESP. Alright, and for the last mod of the gameplay section, we have You Gotcha Gameplay Tweaks, another mod by Darth Badman, or BD whatever his name is. Anyways, it's a merge of a ton of mods that's compatible with Tale of Two Wastelands. We're going to go over to the Files tab with Manager, and then we're going to download the Tale of Two Wastelands patch with Manager. So now we can go back over to Mod Organizer, install You Gotcha Gameplay Tweaks, manual, OK, and then Tale of Two Wastelands, manual, OK, and merge. And then we can enable that. Alright, so now I'm going to set up for the audio and animations section of the video, and I will meet you guys back here. So for the last section of this video, I'm going to quickly cover animations and audio. Starting with audio, because I'm only going to be using one mod for the audio, is the Immersive Pickup Sounds Fallout New Vegas Edition. Just go to the Files tab. Alright, so it looks like he has 2 versions here, the compatibility version and the main version. He pretty much recommends the compatibility version, so I'm going to download that one, and then we are using the MISC item icons, so I'm going to download that with Manager as well. While wait for that to download, we are going to be looking at weapon animation replacers. There's an installer version over on Mega Limited, so I'm going to download that here. And lastly, we're going to be talking about the first-person weapon animation overhaul. If you don't know what this is, it's just a huge overhaul for lots of weapons and their reloading and firing animations. We're going to go over to the Files tab, and at the very least, we're always going to be getting the main file here. If we look at the description, he says optional files, Iron Sights Foley adds sounds to aiming down the sights, so I am going to get that. Sneak Foley adds sounds to going in and out of sneak mode, I am going to get that. And then there's a weapon sway remover which removes the sway wobble effects for pistols, rifles, compatible with every mod that he knows of. So going back over to the Files tab, we already have the main, so next we have the excuse me, the Iron Sights Foley. Download that with Manager. The Sneak Foley, I'm going to download that with Manager. And then it says this is gonna be the big one here, the weapon sway remover. Some people like it, some people don't. I personally think the weapon sway is dumb, as he says here. It doesn't really make any sense, so I'm going to download that with Manager as well. Again, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. And then we're going to look through the update files. So he has an alternative assault rifle auto fire animation. I'm not going to download that. You can if you want. He has the alternative forward run. I do like that, so I'm going to download that with Manager. The 10mm pistol reload. It's for the Desert Eagle, but it replaces it for the 10mm pistol, so I'm going to download that with Manager. And then he has the pistol animation update, updated pistol animation, so we're going to grab that as well. Now we're going to go over to Mod Organizer, and the first one we downloaded was the Immersive Pickup Sounds Compatibility Edition. So manual, set data directory, and OK. And then we have the MISC item icons version, so manual and merge. Now we can remove those from view. Then next we had the weapon animation replacers. We downloaded that manually, so go over to the Downloads tab, bring it out on your desktop. See what we got here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go over to Mod Organizer and find that, and it's going to bring up a full mod installer. Alright, so this is going to be pretty much personal taste. For first person though, you're going to want to leave first person animations on core for all of them because we're using a different first person animation overhaul, so we're going to be looking at the third person options. Alright, so then install. Like I said, make sure you leave all the first person ones on core. And that one's done. So now we have the Hitman's first person weapon animation overhaul. So manual on the first one. Set data directory, you don't need the readme. Okay. And then the Iron Sights Foley. Manual. We don't need the readme. Set data directory and merge. And then the Sneak Foley. Manual. Don't need the readme. Okay. Merge. Then weapon sway remover. Don't need the readme. Merge. Alternative forward run. Set data directory and merge. Desert Eagle reload. We don't need the readme, and we can merge here. And then the pistol animation update, manual, and merge. Now we can enable all of these. And for the first person weapon animation overhaul, we have 3 ESPs right now. We might come back and merge those. I mean, it's only going to save us one space. For now, I'm just going to leave it. But when we do our last episode, which is going to be the next episode, I might come back and merge those together. We're at 132 right now, which is basically 133. 135 is what I want to keep it at, so I'm right about where I want to be. Just another quick little note, guys. In his description he says that one of the requirements is to set the default first person field of view to 75. So we're going to go ahead and copy and paste this. Go over to Mod Organizer, any editor, and Control F, and then copy and paste that. so that it finds it, and we're just going to change that to 75. Hit save. Then we're going to go over to the Fallout prefs, Control F, find next, and change that to 75 as well, and save. Now that's done, and I will hop in game and meet you guys there. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for this episode. As always, thank you for watching. This is the last official episode. I'm going to do one more episode talking about just some new mods, adding new mods that you might want to add, removing current mods, and troubleshooting. But basically this is going to do it. So thanks for sticking with me through this. Thanks for watching. Hope you found everything helpful, and I will see you in the last one sometime soon.
Morning.
What do you need? Yep. The gunrunners have been putting rapid-fire death dealing in the hands of anyone who needed to defend himself for over a century. Get a clue. We have caravans. We deal in bulk. And what do you propose? Who are you shitting? Don't get...